Hey everybody. First off, I want to thank Tide We for paying for the show. If you need a pair of boots, a pair of waders, a new backpack, some hunting rain gear, look them up. They got some good stuff. So we've noticed a huge increase in pressure on the public lands the last couple of years. I'm sure you guys are noticing it too. So all the islands that used to be, you could go out there and there'd be nobody there, are getting pounded. All the remote spots are getting pounded, and then some of the spots by the road are getting pounded. But all the deer aren't dead. So what are they doing? Well, the big bucks are moving into areas where the hunters aren't getting to. Right now I'm out in an ocean of cattails, way out in the middle. Quite a ways, 600-700 yards from dry land. Obviously I'm on ice. And you see the deer tracks all over the ice. So most people can assume that they walk out here when there's ice, right? But a lot of guys don't get that they're out here in regular season too. And just to prove my point, this is a little patch that's elevated, so it's got some dogwood growing in it, but all these cattails out here are in like 2 feet of water. You walk out here, it goes over your boots all year. But look at this. Any doubt there were bucks out here during the rut? Every tree has been rubbed. All around these little beds. Look at that. Even over there. The rubs are everywhere. Surprising a tree can even live out here. Look at that. There's shavings there. That one's actually been rubbed since it snowed. Yeah, and look at how orange it is. It's fresh. Wow, that's interesting. So in the marshes, they're living in the cattails, and I got to find a way to get in those cattails after them, because now they're not coming up onto those islands and stuff because of the pressure. So this ain't the first time I've ran into that in spots, and what we have to do as hunters is adapt. When the pressure hits all those woods and all the spots where you can put tree stands, and all of a sudden public land hunting is popular again, we have to adjust like the deer adjust. Check this out. Look at that. It's frozen in. Man, this is old, dried, white. I bet you it's been out here a few years. And we have to stay one step ahead of the game. So for me, getting into these marshes and going after the bucks means hunting where there's no trees and solid cattails that high. It's not an easy task, but there's ways to get it done. And you can probably take this method of hunting them in the cattails that I'm going to show you and use it in other terrains, in other thick cover, in other treeless cover where deer hang out where there's no trees. So the basic method is you find a bedding area in those cattails or in that thick brush or that heavy cover. You find an exit trail coming out. You get in the downwind side of that exit trail. You get heavy cover and you angle a shooting lane on a steep angle into those deer walking away from you. Because when a deer hits an opening, he's going to do this number. And he's going to see you there, or he's going to spot something out of the ordinary. But what he's not going to do is when he hits an opening that goes back like that, is go like this and look behind him. At least usually most of the time. He's not going to look back the way he came from. So that steep angle shot is important. Then I cut a little window at 90 where I can just see that buck when he passes by. Make sure it's a shooter. See what it is. Just get a glimpse. He goes by. If I want him, I get my bow drawn and I wait till he gets to that steep angle shot. It's mid-July and I'm out here setting up some spots. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a island in the background of me. It's typically got some pretty nice bucks bedded right off the tip. That when they get up, they dump into these cattails. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a little trick that we use in these cattails. They come off of this island tip and they literally go probably a mile before they get to food, but they bed here because of safety. If you look right here, here's the heavy trail coming out of the bedding. And there's even fresh tracks on it, and it goes right up to, you see the trees there? That's the tip of the island. So the trick is going to be getting as close as possible to those beds, just like if you're setting up inland or whatever, and making a setup out here in these cattails. And I'll show you how we do it. There's a little trick to it. These cattails are probably 10 feet tall. As you see, I'm 6'2", and they're way over my head. So getting a shot through this stuff is crazy, and you can't hit a cattail. These things will actually stop a slug, more or less an arrow. So we've got to make a setup in here. So I'm going to show you how we do it. Okay, from this point on the trail, we're going to go into the cattails about 15-20 yards to the predominant downwind side and make a setup. So here's the trail. We're going to go straight in. We make a little round spot here for the seat where I can sit. Okay, I have 3 foot-by-foot boards, and the feet of my chair are going to go onto boards. Otherwise they'll sink. Alright, so I got these boards down here. I'm going to step them flat. And as you can see, the whole ground shakes when I move. There's no bottom here. So you just keep sinking in this muck. So we'll take our chair and we'll set her up with one leg on each board. So now, even out in these cattails, the boards support my weight. This Huntmore chair has, been built really well, and it turns and pivots silently. The noises you're hearing is because my knee's hitting the cattails. We'll fix that in a minute. But now I'm sitting in the cattails, and the trail is 10 feet over there, coming by sideways. I'm going to cut a little vision lane, just like a 1 foot by 2 foot little hole, and I'm going to cut it high enough that it doesn't become a trail so the deer don't walk over here. I just see a little hole through these cattails to make a visual on a deer that I hear coming off of the island point, and I got a chance to decide whether or not I want to shoot it before it gets to my shooting lane, which will be over here. And when I see it coming through and it's sloshing, I can slide the bow back real quietly, aim through my shooting lane, and when it gets to the shooting lane, shoot it.
Okay, so now I can see through and get a visual of the rack. I didn't cut all the way to the trail, so I'm looking through some cattails, but I'll still be able to see the rack through those thin cattails. Now, the shooting lane's got to be cut a little better and a little wider so I can shoot. But again, I want to keep the cattails cut up high so that a deer doesn't use it as a trail. And if you notice when I was cutting, I was folding the cattails down on top of the cattails so it's hard to walk through. So now what we got to do is cut a trail going back through the cattails here to shoot down. We want to leave the cattails right up next to me kind of high. Shoot over them. Kind of blend me in. And the vision here down the sight trail to see the deer coming, I got the cattails head high and I'm just peeking over and I'm not going to move. Deer have a tendency to look when it's a 90-degree hole. So when they get to this opening, they're going to look down it and peek and see if there's anything going on. You just have to sit there motionless and blend in. In this trail, the key is for it to hit that trail not on a straight 90-degree angle, but on a long angle. So the deer would have to actually look behind it to look down the trail and see you. And you're going to already be at full draw. But if you do it at a 90 on a kill trail, they'll look down that trail and they'll spot you and lock on you. And if they do, they just back up and they're out of there. You got no shot because only their head comes through and sees you. Trust me, I've been there. This is the way to do it. Tight angle, they walk past the angle and they'd have to actually look backwards to see you. So this is where we're cutting our shooting lane. It's going to start out small and taper big enough at the end to give you a good shooting range so that you have time to settle the pin and drop the string before he's out of the shooting lane. So wide on the end where the trail is, narrow on this end. Make enough room to shoot your bow. And then just cut the tops off. So I'm sitting in the chair. There's the trees from the island. Now the trail to see the deer coming is right here. I'll get a glimpse of their head. Just a glimpse over the top of this stuff. And you look this way, here's my shooting lane. Right where those cattails ends is the trail. And I'm gonna leave some of this stuff high. I'll fill in this little hole that I knocked down walking through it. But I got a nice shot right through here. Now when you do this, you got to do it in mid-July or earlier, and some of this stuff's going to grow back up a little bit, and you got to stay out of here because if you keep getting your scent in here, you're going to do damage. So now, when you come in here to hunt, you obviously can't swing a machete, so if something grows into your way, you have to bring a scissors along and real quietly cut it with a scissors so that you have a shooting lane. So let's take a look over here. I got about a 10-yard shot to the trails right here. Here's where it comes through. This stuff I want to make sure is down, and I want to clear the trail as best as possible and pull all this stuff out of here so that the trail is clear and the brush is over here so they don't start turning and move the trail. So I do want there to be kind of nasty in here. So there you have it. There's my setup, and from a deer's view, you're gonna be looking right through this brush. You're just gonna see my head kinda, and I got one little shot through here. It's gotta be cut down kinda low over here, because these deer actually sink further than you think in that muck. Their chest cavity will be about right here. So that's a big mistake a lot of guys are gonna have when they first do this, is they're gonna set the cattails up too high in the shot position. They gotta be knocked almost to the ground because these deer sink. They're actually slurping through the stuff. So there you have it. So now as far as access is concerned, if possible, I don't want to come up that deer trail. I want to come from over there. I'll take a trail over there in that I don't want to hunt, And I'm going to take a piece of ribbon or two, and I'm going to tie it at the tops of these cattails so that I can come in from behind. But I'm not going to cut a trail, because if I cut a trail, a deer might start coming through here, going up my trail, and leaving that way. And then I'm screwed when I hunt this. So I want them to keep using the trail they're using, but I want to back route in and sneak through these cattails as quiet as possible, probably midday because I'm going to make a little noise. And right here's where I'm going to set up. There's a trail probably 20 yards in, so I got to get 20 yards for this stuff as quiet as possible.